Welcome back to the John and Joe podcast. Thanks for being here.
Welcome.
And exciting news, we have a book that we are going to give.
We have a winner for.
Give out because we have a winner.
Yes, last week's book. Actually, a week and a half ago now.
Yeah.
The Story Paradox.
Yes. And the winner.
We had over, I don't remember. I was gonna make up a number. I think it was like 20-something people.
Oh, okay.
That got entered in.
Yes.
And just a reminder, if you want to be entered in, you gotta wait till the end to find out what we're gonna do this week. But go ahead. What are we gonna do this week? So today we're gonna do a 2-part series.
Yes, correct.
So we're gonna give away the book twice. We probably should. It's a good book. All right.
Yeah, I
the
agree.
winner for last week.
I agree.
Sorry, I'll stop being
So the
sidetracked.
winner for last week is Miley Ristel.
Congratulations.
Yes, congrats. Go ahead and reach out to either one of us, and we can mail you the book, or if you would like the Audible, we can send it to you through Audibles.
I like it.
Yes.
Okay, this week's book. You got it. You got to show it.
Yes, I got it. Daring Greatly by Brene Brown. Here.
Brene Brown. So, Brene had a famous TED Talk that went viral. And she is what's called a shame researcher. A really strong title there.
Yes. Yes. You hear that, you're just like, oh, wow. That
I
must be
can't
an
wait to read this
interesting-
book, right?
Tell me more.
I know. But she did a TED Talk and went viral. And then this book kind of came after that and out of it and a lot of her research. But
out of all the books we have read, and you know, we've done a lot, but in the world of books, it's not that big of a number.
The world of books. I like that term.
The world. And I don't know, what, like top 5 maybe recommend this book?
At least. I mean, I would say the top one. But
Top
I
one.
say that about every book I read currently.
Yeah, that's
so
why I'm saying top 5.
I'll give you that.
Yeah. But really, that's just, it's been so nice to go through this book for a second time, just really soaking it in again.
Yeah. So we read it first last year, 2021, earlier on in the year, I feel like. Well, maybe
Yes.
in March, April. I
No,
don't
it
know.
wasn't early on. in the
Yeah.
year.
And was really good, you know. And then, I don't know, I forget how we were reminded about it again. I think we were just going through the ones that we read. And then after reading it again, I was like, man, I can't believe that I haven't had more people around me read it. And so now it's been a conversation piece around everybody around us, which has been really good.
Yeah.
So Joe's
First
running the
thing-
show today.
Yeah.
I'm just a part of it.
Yeah, so, you know, keep those expectations not too high.
So high.
But first things first, I have a new notebook.
It's beautiful.
Yes. I forgot my notebook when
Can
I
I
went to
sign
go
it?
do notes. Well, it's mine.
But I want to sign the back of it.
Okay.
It'll be worth a lot more someday.
Yes, please do
All right.
that.
Carry on.
And I knew that if I mentioned to John that I forgot to get a notebook, is it okay if I run into the store and grab another? And he would be like,
Why?
yes.
Why do you gotta say it like that?
Because you love notebooks. There's two loves that John has other than, you know, family and me, of course. Dry erase boards.
I'm looking right at one.
Yeah.
And it's all white,
That's-
except for somebody tried to draw something up there. It looks like pants.
Dry
You think
erase.
that's pants?
No, I don't know what that is.
Okay.
Ask Grace.
She did not draw that.
No.
It's definitely a Nicholas drawing. And then second,
Notebooks.
my second love is notebooks.
Notebooks.
What about pens?
It's
Tandem?
it's close, but it's not quite
All right.
not quite there. All right, let's get jump into this.
Let's get down to business.
You know, like John said, we're separating this into 2 parts because there's just so much good stuff in there that I cannot just skip over it. So good. All right, so the first thing right off the bat, we're here. Connection is why we are here. And I love how she starts out with that, and because I was like, oh, okay, well, that's very generic. But the way that she really dives into it is really nice. But was there anything you want to share on that?
Yeah, it's how we're hardwired, right? Yeah. And I just think it's and we've talked about it before, but you know, in those moments when you're feeling either really depressed or really attacked or whatever, like what's typically everybody's number one thing they want to do is
separate yourself. You feel alone.
Yeah, you want to isolate and withdraw from everything, and it's just it's not how you're designed. You're actually designed for connection, and instead of withdrawing, you're actually designed for that deeper connection with individuals. It's actually the prince of this world that is trying to get you to pull away and isolate because it's not part of your creator's design.
Right. And I feel that disconnect when we're not connected at all. I feel the chaos and the stress and the overwhelmness just pour in because we're here to connect with people.
Yeah, that's good.
All right. She talks a little bit about wholeheartedness, and I wanted to get your first take on wholeheartedness because I feel like that those words have been coming up in our conversations recently.
Yeah, actually, credit to Amanda. Amanda's the one that this really brought this to my attention. I don't have a whole lot of thoughts on this, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, I was going through. She has 10 things that she's like characteristics or something for someone that has wholeheartedness, and someone that cultivates authenticity.
That's real to me.
Yeah, and then like letting go of what people think, cultivating self-compassion, then letting go of perfection, and then cultivating I can't read my writing. Resilient spirit, and then letting go of powerlessness and numbingness, and then cultivating gratitude and joy, and letting go of letting go of the dark. I was going through this. This is the first 4, and there were 10. And you know what, babe? I was going through this, and I was like, wow. I'm really just, I love you. I know you, and these things I really saw in you. And I was like, and this is something that you've grown in. You know, it wasn't like, this is why I married you, because we have grown a lot.
Yeah, it's a journey, right?
It's a big journey.
I think in the culture we grew up in, I forgot we were going to change how we sat because you wanted to look into my eyes.
That's why I'm just going to keep those deep blue.
You guys can just watch in, but we're having a conversation here. No, it's part of the journey because I think in the culture that we grew up in, it was almost like, and I'm not pointing fingers at all, but it was almost like the culture gave you opportunities to be somebody that you maybe weren't really. Mm-hmm. And that's just because that's what you were supposed to be. And you probably looked okay, you dressed okay, you probably sounded okay, but that wasn't really who you were. Mm. And it just took so long, and several key life events, that really started shifting our focus to what is deeper. There's got to be more than this. Because in those moments when you're not really being you feel this contention inside of you, right? You just get this weird, frustrated anxiety and worry. Yourself. Yeah, you get that disease, right? Mm-hmm. Inside of you. I say right all the time. Right. But you got me there. So it's a journey, and the journey is inward, right? Mm-hmm. That's how it's from the inside out. Transformation is supposed to happen from the inside out, as the Bible says it. Well, until you draw that circle around yourself and you look inward, and that's why the word authenticity or authentic means so much to me, because if you, and I had some t-shirts made up a year or so ago, and it's still a journey even since then, but for me, it's a commitment to looking inside of me and ridding myself of the impurities and just the lies that I've come into agreement with, and really looking at what the truth is if we're saved, the Holy Spirit inside of us, and really looking at who I am and who I was made to be, and then embracing that. And that's what she talks about there. It's so much goes away stress-wise and heaviness-wise when you search inside and you realize why you're here. Mm-hmm. And anyway, I could talk about that for a while, but thank you for saying that.
Yeah. I love you.
I love you.
All right. So she starts talking about scarcity, and she says this line, and I thought it was pretty cool, and I want to get your take from it. And this is probably not the nicest way to do it because you're getting nothing else that's around this one sentence. So
I'm on the spot.
Oh yeah, you are. Seat. All right. Worry is our version, our meaning the culture we're in right now. Worry is our version of post-traumatic stress.
Yeah, I actually remember this. When we don't live in the moment we're looking ahead or we're looking behind, that is usually wrapped up in fear, worry, or anxiety. It's the fear. In the book, she talks about how, hopefully I'm not jumping too far ahead, but she talks about waiting for the other shoe to drop. And which was really cool. I got to tell a story behind this, right? I don't remember what country it was in, but a long time ago, in a country far, far away. That's how
there were people.
Yeah, there were 3 bears. 3 bears. Sorry. Okay. And anyway, it was in a impoverished area, and there were multiple floors, right? Everybody could hear everything. Walls were paper thin, type of thing. So when people came home and
kicked off their shoe,
the people downstairs would jolt them, and then they'd be waiting because everybody wears 2 shoes for the most part, and they'd be waiting for I don't know why I had to say that, but they would be waiting for the other shoe to drop, and that's where it originated from. So you had to know that story in order to know what that phrase means, but you're continually waiting for what's going to happen. And what happens in those moments is it robs you of the present. And then we don't live life. We don't remember things. We're not here. We're not fully present in this moment. Even in this podcast, if I'm worrying about what I have to do next or what happened yesterday, then I'm not fully here and I'm not fully present and I'm not giving myself fully to you. And it's interesting that she calls that post-traumatic stress, worrying about what did happen and the toll that it just takes on us.
Yeah. Now, growing up, John, I did not hear the word scarcity. Like, that is a very new word to me. So I don't think I've ever heard someone give me their definition of scarcity. I think I've figured out kind of like what it is by hearing it in the books that I've listened to. Yeah. But give me your best.
Of scarcity, yeah. I didn't hear the word scarcity necessarily a lot growing up either, although I believe it was all over the place, the mentality of it.
That's what's funny. Yeah, it was all over.
I think Grant Cardone was the first person that I really heard start talking about the mindset of scarcity. And I mean, my definition, right, would be that it's a fear of there not being enough or there being a lack of. And so when you look at, you have a scarcity mindset, and usually, at least in my experience, that permeates your whole life all around. So if you have a scarcity of money, you always fear that you're going to run out, and there's just not going to be enough. You don't think about, well, you're going to go create more, or more is going to come in. It's the scarcity of this is all I have, and I have to, and that's why I don't want to get too controversial, but there's certain people whose mindset I don't necessarily subscribe to, because it is very close to the scarcity mindset of, there's not going to be more. We got to be really, really careful. We got to be so careful with what we have. And certainly I'm not saying go be foolish, but I am saying that there is a mindset of scarcity. There's just not going to be enough, that is really, really dangerous.
Yeah, that's good. And she goes into shame. We're not going to go too deep, but like, if you are living in a place of scarcity, these are certain questions that you can ask yourself to, like, if you're living in it. And is shame used to keep people in line? And the second one was comparison. If you're in the workplace, is everybody being compared to each other or ranking each other? And then
stop there. If you're in a workplace or an environment where people are shaming you because you're not reaching up to what their standards are. And again, I'm not condoning not hitting the standards, but I am saying if you're in an environment that is using shame or ridicule or sarcasm or passive aggressive comments to keep you in line and get you to perform, that is toxic. That is terrible for your mindset. Yeah. And I'm not here giving you work advice, but you are, your whole thinking is going to be centered around that. Now, you're never going to be enough. There's always going to be, you just don't want to be around that environment. You got to be conscious of that. Even as we're talking about it, run from that. And then if you're in an environment where you control that, man, you got to run the opposite way of that. You do not want, anyway,
Yeah,
Shame.
and she actually
we'll talk more
gets
about.
into
Go
that
ahead, yeah.
in the book, like more
Right.
business wise, and what are steps that you could do.
Yeah.
So if that is something that you deal with at work, that
Yep.
would be very beneficial. And then disengagement. Are people scared to take risks?
Mm.
That's another big thing in the workplace too.
Yeah, and what's interesting about the shame and all of these things is fear is in every one of these. It's a lot of different things, but it's all fear-based. It's the fear of not making up or not belonging, or you're not going to, have enough. Like, fear is at the result. And if fear is in your decision-making or in how you run your business, it's just not healthy.
Yeah.
It's not a healthy environment.
No. And even, I was going to say, even marriage too.
Yeah.
Like that's a scary place to be in right there.
Very scary. Yeah, fear, shame. Wow, that's a lot more.
Yeah, I
Get
know.
into that,
I know.
right?
I almost didn't
but
say it, but because
shame in your marriage.
that will be the third.
Yeah.
The third one. We'll definitely talk more about that one.
Yeah.
But I have questions for you, Jen.
Oh man. All right.
All right. So
Is this at the end of it? We're gonna do rapid fire or something? Because we gotta wrap up our first one. Go ahead.
okay, so what do you do when you feel emotionally exposed?
Okay. My natural tendency
Right.
is to pull away, withdraw, and isolate. I'll be very quiet. I won't respond. I'll go in and I'll try to, so to speak, process those emotions. And there is something to that. Isolating is not good, but also responding out of emotion. And in that emotion isn't either. Anyway, sorry, I'm getting off topic.
That's good.
That's my natural thing. What's
All right.
the easiest?
How willing are you to take emotional risks?
I would say I'm very willing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe that.
I've more so in the last year or two, I've chosen to just operate that I want to believe the best in everybody. And there are people around me that I put around me for specific reasons that really try to watch that, because there are people that will take advantage of you.
Yeah.
And so I know I have to put in boundaries, and I have people around me that know that. They know who I am. They know my weak spots. But me as an individual and how I'm made, I've just chosen that I want to believe the best in everybody. If you tell me something, even if you had a really bad track record with it, I'm going to believe you in that moment because I want to. I believe, anyway.
Well, that's in another of Brene's books. Just believe that everyone around you is doing their best.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yep.
All right, now we're going into one of my favorite parts.
Okay, you got to make it quick.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Vulnerability.
Yes.
Wonderful. Okay, so we're going to go into the myths. Yes, because bring it back, okay? Connection is why we are here.
Yep.
How do you connect with people? By having conversation, deep, meaningful conversations. And how are we going to have a deep, meaningful conversation where we really get to know each other if we're not vulnerable?
We're definitely not going to have deep connection if it's a cliche topic and we're putting on who you want me. If I'm pretending who you want me to be and I don't. We had a conversation the other night about something that was very real and raw, and I had the opportunity then to say, you know what, it's going to be okay. I'm not worried about it. Don't worry. But that wasn't me being vulnerable. I would have robbed you of some learning and some different things in that moment that was an opportunity to have. So, we each have that choice to be vulnerable in that moment. And what happened in that moment is we got a deeper connection and we understood each other better, and you understood me more. And some really deep feelings and things that were, those are things that are really important to me.
Really.
But it would have been so easy for me to just so easy in the moment for me to just gloss over without being vulnerable. But then we would have robbed ourselves of that deep connection.
Yeah, that's good. And then when you did that, when you really opened up to me and showed me how you're feeling, my reaction wasn't, wow, you're weak.
Right.
That's myth number one.
Yep.
That when you are being vulnerable, that's a sign of weakness. That's you being weak. And like, no, I thought you were a strong man in front of me, just showing me how you were feeling.
And that That's a thought and a myth that I think a lot of us, if we're honest, subscribe to, because in that moment, when we're in that moment of being vulnerable, our natural response is that this is a sign of weakness, that I have a struggle.
Yeah.
And that's what we feel. But every time that I've asked other people, what did you feel? And I haven't done this in different environments. What did everybody else see in that moment? Everybody else sees courage in that moment, that, wow, that person got up front or stood up in front of everybody or peeled back their heart to me, and they didn't have to. I didn't ask them to do that. That takes a lot of courage.
Yeah.
But our mind and that myth and that story that we believe is that it's weakness, and it's just not. It's a lie.
Yeah, I know. All right. I don't do vulnerability. Myth number 2.
Boy, men, we say that a lot,
Yeah.
right?
And think, okay, so love. When you love your spouse, or if you have kids, when you love your children, that is being so vulnerable, because you are giving everything to that person, where the next day they can choose to completely reject you. It's a big sign of vulnerability.
Yeah, being vulnerable. You just leave it on the line. It's being all in. You know, guys, we like to say that in sports all the time. You leave it all on the field. You leave it all on the court. But when it comes to, there's a lot of other things on shame we're not getting into on the first one. But when it comes to being a man and being vulnerable, we have this mantra that not speaking the truth and not being really real to who you are and open about it is the tough thing to do. And if you're believing that, it's a lie. That's just BS. The tough thing to do, actually, is to be open and honest with what you're feeling. Because emotions aren't positive or negative. It doesn't matter. It's not, well, I'm just going to toughen up, be a man, grow up. Like, no, your emotions actually mean something. There's a reason they're going off. Now, you don't have to let it control you and be an idiot, but you should trace the thought process and say, why did this piss me off? Or why did this hurt so bad? I don't know. Well, it's important because it goes into the operating system of how you think. And I don't know, maybe that's what forms the rest of your life. So it's kind of important.
Yeah. I like how you use Randy's thing. It's the indicator light.
Yeah.
That there's something deeper in there that's going
Emotions exist. There's nothing wrong about emotions. They're just saying, hey, something's going on. Just like you got a low tire on your car and the light's going off. You're going to get pissed off at the light and tape it over so it didn't fix the problem. And you can pretend it's not there, but it's telling you that something's wrong, something bigger.
And then when you don't, after a while,
it's a bigger problem.
It's a way bigger
and
problem.
Come on, all of us can relate to that.
Yeah.
We keep the emotions in, we keep that in, and then guess what happens?
Yeah, I
We
mean,
blow
like,
up.
if we're going to choose to be really vulnerable right now, like, that was our first 7 years of marriage, was this not connecting on a deeper, vulnerable, authentic way.
Yeah. Because we had these images of who we thought the other person was supposed to, or who we thought the other person thought we were supposed to be. And we just never talked about it. I just always assumed, well, that's what you do. And I go off to work and that is what it is, right? No, it's not what it is. It's what we make of it. But anyway, this was, and we would have said we had a great marriage. We had a good marriage.
Yeah. We never fought.
No. And a lot of times we think that's indicative of a good marriage. But if you're not dealing with the problems and you're not talking about really important things, you're not doing life.
Yeah.
You're missing out.
Yeah. I love it.
I'm getting passionate. You're getting me passionate on this one.
I'm very passionate about being vulnerable.
I like it.
Vulnerability, myth number 3. Vulnerability is letting it all hang out. And people are just like, do I just go to anybody and spill out my guts? And I love how she's like, no, let's talk about boundaries.
Yeah.
And I know you've got something for this, boundary and trust, because God gave you a word this morning.
Trust, he did.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's going to do that every morning, but today he did, and we wrote it up on our, what is that called? Our roll of paper, our paper roll.
Yeah. Sounds about right. The scroll
trust.
of paper.
Now that's a little too intense. Trust. I have a lot here. Boundaries and trust. So, she talks about here in the book, you're not just going to go up to somebody you don't know and spill everything out, right?
Or maybe someone you just barely know.
Yeah, in the trust, rough definition that I wrote up this morning is it's just the complete reliability in someone's ability or someone's strength or something's ability or something's strength, but your complete reliability in that. And what's so powerful about trust, if I know, rabbit trail, what's so powerful about trust is it's my choice in every moment to give trust. And that's the power I have. We all like to say, well, you got to build trust. We got to build trust together. And I understand what people are saying, and there are boundaries. However, it is our choice in every moment whether we're going to trust something or not, period. Right. And it doesn't matter how many times somebody's failed us or somebody's done this. It's our choice. We have the power to choose to trust them in that moment. And I feel like that plays into vulnerability because, one point she made there was, and this was just good for me to hear, was be vulnerable. Make sure you're vulnerable with the people around you first. Mm-hmm. Don't just go spill your guts. And I think, I don't know if I ever did this, but I could definitely see me doing this, and spilling my guts to somebody that's brand new because I want to be authentic and I don't want to do that. Well, I am very people oriented, and it would be easy for me to forget and not realize that, hey, you didn't tell some people around you first something that's really, really important, So that's one of those boundaries, like the people that are closest to you, like have you been really vulnerable with them first? And that starts with you. Can you look square in the mirror and say, this is what you struggle with, this is what your weaknesses are? Because if you can't do that, everything you think you're being vulnerable about with everybody else, it's just to get a response from them and maybe sympathy or something like that, and it's not real. Yeah,
that's when you take out the boundaries, then it's just spilling your guts out for attention.
Yeah.
When you take out boundaries. And I like how she says this, and you kind of pointed on it. Sharing to people who earn the right to hear it.
Yeah.
Like that. And we're coming on the end now because I think we're getting a little long.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah. And then building trust. I know you just told me, you just said building trust, you can't, no matter what I do, I can try to build trust, but it is your choice.
Yeah.
But I loved how she talks about building trust, and it was just by little things.
Yeah.
And we both have done things in our marriage that has lost some trust in each other.
Yeah.
But we're here.
Yeah.
Because we've, had vulnerable conversations.
Yeah.
And I was just wondering, and if this is a bad question, you don't have to answer it. We can skip it. But what is something that I've done that maybe has helped you trust me?
Yeah, so for my makeup, actions are really important. And so words are important as well. They're a really close second. But words without the actions, it just don't mean a lot. Now, this is a spot that I've worked on, and I'm glad you called me out on that, building trust. Like, trust is definitely built. At some point, us as individuals have to put up boundaries. And if somebody continually, I don't want people to mishear what I was saying earlier, so I'm glad you pointed that out. If somebody continually breaks your trust, at some point you're just an idiot if you keep giving it. All I was trying to point out is that it is your power.
Right.
And that works the other way too. Right. So if you're in, whether it's a work relationship or another relationship, and there's trust continually broken and you keep showing up, you may want to look in the mirror and realize that you're not being truly authentic and vulnerable with that individual or that relationship, because if you were, you would either see some course correction and steps being taken, or you would have a broken agreement still, and you would kind of have your line in the sand with that relationship. But to your question, for me, what builds trust is when it's, John, I really love you, and I want to show you that I love you. And then, so I like to do the dishes. And a couple nights, I don't know if it was last week or the week before, you just decided there was a mountain of dishes, and you knew that mornings are rushed, and we do a lot of the mornings, and so you decided to do the dishes. And that was an action. It was something so small, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the moment, it was really big.
It was a very big mountain. Of dishes.
But that's trust, because that is action for me. That is action backing up the words that you say over and over, and they're very important to me. But when action lines up with somebody's words, that's really powerful for me.
Yeah.
What about for you?
It was funny, I actually didn't even come up with an answer when I thought of this question, because I just didn't want to overthink it. So while we were talking, it came to me. I think it's you being there. I don't think I've told you this.
Nope.
Yeah, I go through the times where I really struggled with trust with you. It was when you were just always there, even though sometimes it really ticked me off that you were there.
Yeah.
I think in the long run, the fact that you just being there, because I think it recently happened where I don't really, am I right? I don't necessarily ask you to come home early very often, right? But there was a day that it didn't work, and I did not hold it against you or anything, but I did have that feeling like, oh, he wasn't there, because I hadn't felt that in a long time. Yeah. So that was my little indicator saying that, like, this is really important for you, that he's with you. And that just really means a lot to me.
We're all different, and part of it is learning your spouse, So I know JoJo's love language is touch. Yes. And so even if we're, I
love it.
Even if we're not seeing eye to eye, and maybe trust is broken, maybe an agreement was broken, and we're not, I know, as difficult as it could be for me sometimes too, I know she wants to feel me, be there. And at the end of the day, that's way more important, because whatever we're disagreeing on, and sometimes it's big things, sometimes it's big hurt, but we've both made the commitment to grow and to stay together. And so I know that speaking to, like, her deepest love language, so to speak, to pull that book out of the archives, resonates, regardless of if there's hurt there, or if we're not communicating, we're just not, this isn't happening. It happened the first time we tried to shoot this podcast. Cat's out of the bag.
Yeah.
but we still had this together, and we still knew, like, anyway, all to say, I recognize that about you, because I know it's important for you to know that regardless of what we go through, I will be here. 'Cause I'll be there. Sorry.
Yeah, I guess hearing you say that's no surprise. I mean, my love language is touch, and close second is quality time. So just want you to be there so I could stare at you.
But you don't want me to sing.
Beautiful blue
I can
eyes.
keep singing.
No, you actually are a really good singer. Yeah. I just want to keep it all to
today.
myself.
Not today, folks.
Oh, but your bass. On point. Can you sing some bass?
It's gone.
your throat's better.
Yeah,
now?
I'm back. My bass. There was like 2 or 3 weeks where I just had this cold going on, and I had a really good bass voice. Go listen to some other podcasts. It was money, but now I'm kind of like back at the baritone, and nobody really cares about a baritone voice at the end of the day. So
I do.
Okay, that's part 1.
That's part 1.
Stay tuned. Part 2 gets really deep and even bigger and more important. So stay on the edge. If you want to win, I want you to share our post out. That's what it's going to be for this first part. If you want the book, it's great. We'll buy it for you. You can have it. Share one of our posts out, and make sure you tag us, one of us. I don't care who. So we at least know. Yeah. And then we'll put you in the drawing. We'll give it away. So appreciate it. Thanks for following along.
Thank you.
JoJo, you did a great job hosting.
Oh, thank you.